Welcome to How AI, in an ironic twist, is making SEO more humanized. In this session, we're going to go over what AI is doing to SEO, what Google's doing about that, and how you can take advantage of this. So let's get into it, starting with what AI is doing to SEO. 2023 was unquestionably the year that AI rocked the SEO world, the whole world, but including the SEO world. ChatGPT was released to the public at the end of 2022, and while SEO industry professionals started tinkering with it right away, the general public didn't really start using it right away, but in 2023, they did. If you haven't seen ChatGPT yet, it's an amazing interactive AI chatbot tool that you can play with at chat.openai.com, and as you can see here, you can just tell it to write an article explaining quantum physics and boom, it just does it. So search engines like Google were already using AI in their algorithms. They have been for some time, but how ChatGPT changed the SEO industry is that it made AI accessible to people, whereas before it was really just the search engine technology that was using it. But now people can use it, and we all know what happens in the SEO world. When people find what they think is a shortcut to success, they try to game the system with it. They will overuse it and abuse it until Google designs a penalty to get it to stop. This is why we can't have nice things. So what is Google doing about this right now? Well, at this moment, there is not a penalty per se for using AI to try to game the system. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is generating content for your website with AI. There are certain applications that Google recognizes that AI generated content has a role. What they don't want you to do is create content for your website using AI or your own brain and fingers that is purely for SEO ranking purposes. They basically want you to write high quality content that has a purpose for humans, not just garbage that's spewed out with certain keywords for SEO, and they really don't care whether you do that with AI or without AI. You can't just regurgitate generic keyword-filled content out on the web. Usually, there's not necessarily a penalty for that as much as a demotion. Your website will just kind of get passed over if Google thinks that your content was created purely for SEO purposes. Again, whether it's human-generated or AI-generated. What they're doing instead is kind of positive reinforcement as opposed to, trying to scare us. They're telling us that if you want your content to rank going forward in this new world where there's just a fire hose of AI generated content being added to the web every single day, what Google specifically did this year is added an extra E to their E.E.A.T acronym. E.E.A.T stands for expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. They have now added to this recommendation, and that's what this is. It's a recommendation that you write your content with in a way that demonstrates expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. They now want you to also demonstrate your personal experience in your content. So E.E.A.T, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, is now E.E.A.T. Now, where this comes from is Google's quality rater guidelines. What that is the guidelines that Google gives their human testers to use to rate the results that the search engine is giving them. And so it's not the algorithm itself per se, but when Google has humans test their search results, the way they have them test that is with these quality rater guidelines. And so basically, they're trying to adjust their algorithms to do what these guidelines say to do. So this is the standard that they want you to meet. And the reason they added the additional E is because AI is actually pretty good at mimicking expertise, authoritativeness, and even trustworthiness to a degree. But An AI, unless you built one for yourself, an AI cannot talk about your personal firsthand experience, whether that be as a personal, like, person or a brand, a company. That's something that AI cannot mimic, and therefore it's really the only way to stand out against that fire hose of generic AI content. Now, this whole E.E.A.T thing applies to each piece of content that you write, but also the information that you put out about yourself on your own website and other websites. That needs to demonstrate experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and therefore trustworthiness as well. So we'll get into more of that momentarily, but just keep in mind that it's the content and you, the content creator, that both need to demonstrate E.E.A.T. So let's get to the good part. How can you take advantage of all of this? First of all, make sure to use AI, but don't abuse it. Do not generate full pieces of content for your website with AI. It will be recognized as AI. Google's algorithms are AI, and AI does nothing better than recognize content that was generated via AI. So it will be picked up on so easily. You can and should use AI to generate content ideas for what you can write about. Find secondary keywords, supporting keywords that you should include in your writings, and to automate mundane tasks. Everybody's workflow is different, but I am sure you can find some way of taking advantage of AI, particularly perhaps in Google Sheets, like the GPT for Sheets add-on, to help with your content production and content calendar management and all that kind of stuff. Absolutely use it for those kinds of things, but just stick to the mantra of use it, don't abuse it. Basically, use it for content ideas, content production processes, anything and everything except generating full pieces of content for your website. You need to do that yourself, and you need to ensure that in doing that yourself, you inject as much personal experience into your content as possible. So here's an example of how to use, but not abuse, AI. You can go to ChatGPT and say, generate X number of article topic ideas about Y subject. As you can see here, I said, generate 5 article topic ideas about SEO. It immediately spit out 5 excellent ideas that I could write posts about myself and inject my personal experience into, but I don't have to deal with the writer's block. There's wonderful ideas right there. And I could say, give me 5 more, give me 10 more, and it'll just keep going. You can also then ask it to generate you a content outline of what you should touch upon in the article that you're going to write yourself. But again, why deal with writer's block when it can tell you what you should include in the article? Just again, remember to inject as much personal experience as possible. And to continue on that train of thought, be first with first-person content. What I mean by that is be ahead of the curve. Take advantage of this. Be the first of all of your competitors to have a wealth of content on your website talking about your personal experience. Before your competitors ever even know that this new E is a thing, you should have loaded up your site, revised a lot of old content, added a lot of new content, all with that personal first-hand experience angle. So this is an opportunity to get ahead of the competition. So I'm sure all of this makes sense in theory, but how do you do this like in practice? Here's an example of an article that reviews a popular keyword research tool called KW Finder. I actually had to dig pretty deep on Google search results to find an example of an article reviewing this tool that didn't have first-hand experience mentioned in it. So that right there tells you something. But once I finally dug down and found it, I gave you this snippet as an example of content that really doesn't have any personal experience mentioned in it. Now you can contrast that with an article that I have on my blog about the tool, where I talk about my first-hand experience with the tool, what I like about this tool, and I even have a picture of myself, pointing at the screen with the tool logo on it. That is personalized content through and through. So that's one way that you can write content that is full of your personal firsthand experience, writing a review of a tool, a software that you use in the industry. You can also write a review of any books that apply to your industry that you really like, or any websites, e-newsletters, anything that you use in your day-to-day life that you love. Write a review about it. You can also write recaps of events that you've attended, talking about your personal experience at that event and what you thought of it. Also, tell stories. People love stories, and stories that come from you and your personal experience are 100% unique to you. Similarly, case studies, and include testimonials from your clients wherever possible in your case studies. And last but not least, utilize the content that you have. Just inject more first-person grammar into it. Go back to older articles and content on your site, and instead of saying this and that, say we, I think, and our experience, I, we, our, instead of it is a best practice to XYZ, say I believe in my experience that it is a best practice to XYZ. Third, beef up your bios. As I mentioned before, it's not just your content that needs to demonstrate experience, it's also your bios, the content that's out there about you. You need to make sure that that talks a lot about your experience and how you got to be the knowledgeable person that you are. So take a look at your bio on your About page. Take a look at your LinkedIn bio and your other social bios. Even use, this is not abusing, but use AI to help you beef up your bios. How can I make this more credible and demonstrate more E.E.A.T in this bio of mine? And a small thing, but a very impactful thing can be to make sure that your byline, well, first of all, make sure you have a byline on your articles saying that it was written by you, and make sure that byline clicks through to your bio. Sometimes, especially on WordPress sites, the byline clicks through to just a list of articles by you, which there's not anything inherently wrong with, but if there's no bio information on that page, you need to add the bio information to the top of that page, or if you already have a bio page on your site, you can redirect your author archive to your About page, which is what I did on my site. Another way you can take advantage of what's happening in the intersecting worlds of AI and SEO is to focus on multimedia. Use and personalize as much as possible multimedia in your content. AI is starting to understand, particular search engine AI, is starting to understand multimedia better than ever before. AI is becoming multimodal, so meaning it can not just understand words, but it can understand images and video as well. So start making use of multimedia on your site and optimize it all for SEO. And by that, I mean the keywords that you're saying or showing, as well as the injection of personal firsthand experience. You can take an existing blog article that you have and make a video to go along with it. Here's an example of how to take advantage of AI's newfound understanding of images. You can take a stock photo instead of just leaving it as a stock photo. Of course, as long as you have the licensing rights to do so, you can overlay words on the stock photo. So it then makes the stock photo not about nothing, but it makes it about the thing that the article is about, in this case, DNS. Now, here's an area where AI has a bit of ways to go before it gets truly usable, but as a kind of preview into what you'll be able to do in the future, there are AI image generators that can either generate an image from nothing or modify an image. Like you see here, I said take this picture of me and make it so that I'm holding up a cell phone with a green speed gauge on the screen, and it's kind of low quality, the result that came of that. So it's not something I would use as of today, but I'm definitely keeping my eyes peeled for the evolvement of these tools that generate imagery and to edit imagery for you that will allow you to personalize imagery for your site with a speed and a creativity that was not really available before unless you really know Photoshop well or have someone on your team who does. And even then, the amount of time, I know Photoshop pretty well, but the amount of time that would have taken me to edit that, nothing compared to the few moments it took for AI to do it. It's just that the image generation quality isn't quite there yet, but I believe it'll be there very soon. And that is an excellent way to take advantage of multimedia and personalization of multimedia. Since search engine AI is getting better at understanding multimedia, and since these reels slash TikToks slash whatever you want to call them, the phone shaped videos are the hottest thing on social media right now. And since good social media correlates with good SEO performance, I highly recommend taking advantage of this marketing avenue if you're not already. And Google, who owns YouTube, now also offers that ability on YouTube called YouTube Shorts. And since YouTube is owned by Google and YouTube results often make their way into search results on Google, you definitely want to take advantage of YouTube Shorts. There's even a specific section of search results dedicated to Shorts results. So if you're not already doing some form of these short form videos, you definitely want to start doing that, including and especially on YouTube Shorts. Also, embed the shorts on your website. You can embed them individually, you can embed them as a playlist. That definitely helps your SEO as well. So to tie this all together, you want to use AI, but don't abuse it. Be first with first-person content. Beef up your bios, big time. And use and personalize multimedia. Those 4 things will get you ahead of the curve and ahead of the competition in SEO in the coming year. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me by email or follow me on any of my socials. I do a lot on Instagram and TikTok these days, as well as YouTube Shorts, of course. And as a reminder, you may want to screenshot, maybe even print out my little mind map here of the DNA of AI in SEO to remind you of all these best practices as you go forward with your SEO strategy.